Yeah.
It's the thing is the Iranians are playing this very cute, and it's got Trump in a corner, and it depends what he's going to do next. But it looks more and more like there'll be a peace deal, which a lot of people, as we were talking about last week in the Gulf, don't want a peace deal because they think Iran will just start again. And on past experience, they probably will. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of days. Right, we got Pierre with us as well. So we got Alvin, morning to you. Brady, don't recognise that surname. Don't know if you're new. If you are, let us know where you're from. Morning, Cesar, Clive, David, Devon, Hilton. Hilton, I'm trying to get hold of Dan and he's not replying to my emails. Could you give him a prod, please? Because I don't know where he's got to. Morning, John in London, Julian in London as well, Phil in Australia, Pierre, South Africa. It's probably still on holiday. Richard, Rudolph, South Africa, Sasha in Germany, Sifi in. Oh, I saw your comment in the forum, Sifi. I think you're working in Kuala Lumpur, but you're from. Oh, I can't remember. Will, morning to you. You like it so much, you're in twice. Morning, one and all. On the subject of that, if you do ever want to invite friends or whatever, you're quite welcome to share the link for these sessions, as long as they're not here every week and not paying. Um, Okay, so Pierre on yesterday, posted this, and Pierre, you need to tell me how you're starting to do all these graphics because the one you put in the forum is excellent. I know ChatGPT will be involved in there somewhere, but that's really cool. So Pierre posted yesterday about why mindset matters more than strategy, and we've talked about this at length for a very long time. And he summarized it in that, as Mark Douglas said famously, in Trading in the Zone, and it's the best trading book I think I've ever read and it is recommended in our trusted products. There's a one about books. Um, and he said it, well, first and foremost, anything can happen. You don't need to know what will happen next to make money. Wins and losses are random, but the edge equals a higher probability of one outcome over another. And every moment in the market is unique. But one of the other things that he talked about in this separate graphic that Pierre put in the forum is it's all about probability. And this is what we teach. So, yes, everything's random. It's supposedly been proven that nobody can predict what's going to happen next. And we play a very simplistic game of looking at, well, if things reacted in an area in the past, and we can multiply that by 4 or 5 reasons, then we take the trade. Hence this. So the 5 reasons checklist probability. It's all about probability. And at the moment, on the longer time frames, it's as clear as mud. And as Ashley's just said about Mark Chandler for Mark to Market, one day it's up, one day it's down. One day gold's up, one day gold's down. It looks at the moment as though commodities and gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and copper today are going to break lower. And Ashley talked about gold last week with his head and shoulders pattern, and it didn't fully pan out on the longer time frame. But the point is that we teach 3 or 4 different strategies here at Forex Mentor Pro, but it all starts from the overall perspective of is this thing going up, down, or sideways, and where's it probably going to go? You will see if you're taking part in the forum that Pierre's had a lot of success in recent weeks taking reversals. I don't trade that way because I don't like it. It doesn't suit my style, and it certainly doesn't suit me because I don't want to sit there watching charts all day long. But the point is, all of us start looking at structure, and Ashley's going to go into this in more detail in his section. So, probability is what we're trading. Psychology and being able to control emotions, etc., is the key to it. I got from losing to winning when Rich Friesen got me away from 15-minute charts and got me on to 4 hour because suddenly and everything was planned. I did all the planning on a weekend like I do now. And one of my private guys the other week said, do I keep needing to send the M2 analysis in? Yes, you keep doing it till the day you die if you're going to trade. You need to keep in the habit of doing this all the time. So the point is, we look at the structure, if it's going up, down, or sideways. That's why we look on the weeklies for the big picture. And you can see clearly here on the dollar Swiss, even on a daily, this is a major area of previous resistance going on in here. And what we're doing all the time is we're trying to look for probability of if this thing bounces or moves up, where's it probably going to stop? And so here, now you have Nobel Prize winners, mathematicians have proved that you can't predict what's going to happen next. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say, well, hang on a minute. This area here and 100, it's been bouncing off for years and years and years. If it gets back up there, it's more probable it's going to react and reject there than to go through. And that's what we do. So we don't overcomplicate it. We've all bought every sexy indicator out there. We've gone through the route of EAs and things that wonder systems and all the rest of it. And all at the end of the day is we are looking at structure. So if you start with the big picture, then that is what all we are doing. So have a read of this. And if you've not read the book yet, have a look. I think you may find a copy online somewhere. And certainly there are some videos on YouTube that go through the whole book. So if you don't want to buy the book, because remember, it wasn't the cheapest book around, but as I say earlier, it was, for me, the best trading book I have read. Now, I spoke on Sunday about Pierre's on a roll recently, and I say he's been taking some reversal trades because he's familiar with it. It suits his style. And I said last week, I missed out on a few of late, and really it's because I've got set in my ways. I know what I like and I stick to it, and then I can get on with other things. On the subject of which, I said I was retiring in October. It never happened really, and now I'm not retiring because I'd be bored out of my mind. And because there is a jet fuel shortage in Europe, people are not booking holidays, and the price of a flight to the UK in June is triple what it was last year, which is bad enough. But if this thing in the Gulf gets worse, then we might not get back. And I do not want to be stuck in the UK. And so a lot of people in the UK now, the sales of holidays, package holidays are down significantly and people are hesitating. So I think we're going to be stuck in Portugal for the summer. And there's worse places to be. It just gets a bit hot and a bit noisy in the summer. So I was talking about that. And then Friday last week, Ashley caught some dollar Swissy trade as well. So get in the habit, follow the structure, follow the rules. And then I talked about this on Sunday about how we're all doing the similar thing. And then paying attention to the T-bills. I've explained that before. If the interest rates start to go up in America, then it affects Trump's decisions. And I gave you a few ideas for what I would be looking at this week. Then spoke last week about saying hi in the forum. And Sif, who was with us today, he's the gentleman. I was trying to remember where you're from, Sif. Where are you from?
Malaysia.
Malaysia. And so he introduced himself as after last week's session. I said to everybody, enlist. Similar tale of woe to all of us. He's been doing this for almost 4 years now and trading on and off since 2018. He joined the Substack, and I need to update that today. And he was saying that the 5 session videos in there have been a tremendous help to him. But the main thing is to get in the forum, say hello, and take part, which we discussed last week. Now, this is that Substack. So if cycle before a crowd, it's just markwalton.substack.com. Sif was referring to the webinar series I did last year for Tickmill. And in these 5 sessions, the 5th was with Rich Friesen for psychology. I went through everything that we do. So if you can't find things inside Mentor Pro sometimes because there's so much content, then you will be able to find we're trying to put the best of the best in here. So get in there, sign up, and it's free and it will continue to be free. And so for the week ahead, Ashley started off. This is Porthos. He's the gentleman we spoke about last week. He's passed 1 challenge already for a funded account, and he's now got through the first phase of a $100,000 account. And he is man up every week. He posts his analysis, what he's looking to do and why, and he shares it in the forum. And I looked at the analysis this morning, and it's very good. And again, this is what we're trying to do. This is what we say with private students. We say, look, within a month to 6 weeks, no matter how long you've been doing this, you should be able to see exactly what we see. And what he's doing, Porthos, he's doing this consistently, week in, week out. He does his analysis, he does his plan, he works out what he's going to do, and he shares it in the forum. And most people are too shy to share in the forum. But there's nobody going to be critical about you. And if we see something, Pierre or Ashley sees something, or I see something that we think is not right, we will say to you, and maybe say to you privately, hey, hang on a minute. But sometimes we might just say to you, well, don't forget there's the news coming out tomorrow or whatever. But he does good, detailed analysis. So as ever, get in there. And then we've got another one now, Swiss Sapphire. He started to post his ideas in there as well as...
That's Grant, Mark.
Oh, is it? Okay. Why is Swiss Sapphire? Oh, I'll ask him later. Right. So going through here, and then Pierre was posting yesterday. Ashley's showing you some of his. So he's going to be going through this today. and then Pierre again, and then again. Pierre was showing you last week as well some of the reversal trades he's looking to take. So within the three or four strategies that we teach, you will always be able to find a trade. So master M2 first, and then go down. Either choose Ashley's or choose Pierre's as the second step. Pierre's, I taught him 15, 20 years ago, and then he went off and did his own thing. So it was a variant of what I do, and then it's more systematic on a shorter time frame. And get in there, take part, and have a look. This is the new update he's done, and it did say on somewhere on here. It said, I'm sure it said. Oh no, it's a different one. This is for his trading in the zones. This is for his Earth and Sky. So step by step, what he does. I've just shown you what I do every week. This is what Pierre does every week, and Ashley shares with you during the week as well. So it's all there. Nothing else to see, nothing else to pay for, nothing else to do. Just get in the habit. And habit is the be all and end all. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to get fit, this thing with the January where everybody joins a gym and the gyms charge you for a year because they know by Easter that 90% will have dropped out. It's the ones who show up even on the difficult days and the days you don't want to do it. I've just done it this morning. I had the first session yesterday, a private session with a lady I go to, and it was brutal. And then today I've gone to another one that my wife goes to, and it was painful. Didn't do as much today, but at least I turned up. So it's the same with this. You have to turn up. And Julian says, must take out my copy of the Douglas book. Yes, it is very good. Grant says, hooray, retirement is for quitters. It was just boring. Devon says, I read a quote, one trade should not break you or make you. Absolutely. In relation to anything can happen in the market, and trading is about probabilities. And again, that's why we only risk half or at most 1% on a trade. A bad week is not going to hurt you. Grant says, my father is Swiss. Okay, my mother is Italian, crikey. Swiss, mother Italian, born in South Africa, dual citizenship, Swiss passport, South African passport, currently lives in Qatar with an identity document. It sounds like one of those people with multiple personalities, Grant. Okay, so get in the habit. It's there. But everything that you need to learn how to do this is here and available at your fingertips. As ever, we are looking at the news for the week ahead. CPI is going to become important again because the last month in America, for example, the inflation figure was up, but the gas prices, petrol, has not really hit as much as one would expect. And therefore, anything to do with inflation this week could be a negative impact. And the Aussies have been very, very strict on this in the past for raising rates. So it could well be that the Aussies raise rates again. So again, that would be a shock to the market. So tomorrow you've got the cash rate from Canada and the press conference. Remember, if you're going to trade the Canadian dollar, unless you get the peach of an entry today and you think you can make most of the profit by tomorrow this time, then leave it until after the news and after the press conference. As we know, often they'll say one thing in the statement and a different thing in the press conference. And the same thing then goes for the dollar. So tomorrow, if I'm in a dollar trade, I will close it out before London closes because then it tends to drift until the FOMC statement comes out, and especially the press conference. And with everything that's going on and the oil situation, Powell may say something that really rocks the boat. And tomorrow as well, just to make things worse, there are 4 of the FANG stocks report after the market closes. So, and Trump's deal, the ceasefire lasts, I believe, till tomorrow around this time as well. So on the basis of don't go looking for trouble, I would not be in anything whilst this lot is out. Thursday, you've got the Bank of England, so it's their thing. So if you're going to go into the pound trade, go in today and then be out before the rate statement and the press conference in America tomorrow. So you've got 24, 30 hours to make your profit. That's a reasonable bet for me. I would take that one. Friday, what's happening on Friday? I think it's a bank holidays in Europe. Have a look. May Day. It's the non-workers holiday. French, German, and Italian bank holiday. And by the look of it, no scheduled news. But as ever with Trump at the moment, scheduled news is one thing, and a tweet or Truth Social post at the next minute is another. And so they're saying here that, I mean, at the moment, I also share something with you a moment about David Jensen saying is that there is a detachment between the true price of oil at the moment and what's actually showing on a chart. And there's also a detachment where the stock market, the VIX has fallen, so the fear index is down. And I was talking to an American family office guy the other day. In the America, I think you're so well insulated from this. And the gas prices, yes, they've gone up, but there's not a shortage and they're not running out. But in Europe, we have a war on our border that's been going on for 4 years. Russia is now flexing its muscles with the Middle East, with Iran, and China's having a pop as well because both of those have sponsored and supported Iran. And if you know your history, you go back to the end of the Second World War, the Americans and the Russians were basically giving lots of the goodies away to try to be able to be the best friend of some of the major oil producers. So Russia would be in control or big partnership with, say, Iran as now, and the UK and America at one point were very much in with Iraq. And they were supportive of the administration. Their military was trained there. They bought all their military weapons from them. And then they had a fallout. And now you've got the scenario that you've got in Iran as well. So all this geopolitics has been going on in the background. But the main thing to note from this, we've potentially got two wars going. Well, we have two wars going on at the moment with superpowers involved. And all or most have got nuclear weapons and things as well. So I said at the start of the year in my annual look at my tea leaves, I think this is one of the most dangerous phases at times of life I've ever been through. So this is to do with what could happen this week. So we had some of the chip stocks surged the other day. Chip stocks, not going to try that again. But this week, so you've got Alphabet, so you've got Google, and you've got Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, all report tomorrow. Oh, Apple on the following day. So it's just the potential for fireworks. And it could be that one comes out really good and one comes out really bad. So it shoots up 1 second and it shoots back down the next as well. And they do it after the market closes. So the market could well open. If you're going to buy stocks, it could well open with a gap up or down, and it could be a significant gap. So again, I never place forward orders for stocks anyway. Certainly would never place forward orders when you have this going on after hours. Things I was looking at again. So this is the guy I showed you last week. This is Capital Mischief. A guy's called Charlie Garcia. Apparently he has an award, not from the CIA, because he's never worked for them in a place that the CIA was never there or something. He was talking and explaining the other week about the fact that the Americans have got all the weaponry, all the ships, everything is in the theatre, as they refer to it. And the dilemma now is I think the Iranians have outflanked Trump because what they've said is, okay, we'll talk. And you can't leave an armada bobbing along in the ocean indefinitely. They need resupplying. There's a weapons shortage allegedly with some of the things. You've got soldiers and elite soldiers allegedly waiting in other areas to go in. There comes a point where you have to back off. But as Garcia pointed out, and I shared with you last week, Trump paid for, I think he paid $95,000 for an advert in the New York Times 40 years ago saying that some American president needs to man up about Iran, otherwise this will go on forever. And that is where we are now. And we were talking last week, somebody with us today was in the Middle East, and I was saying I had spoken to a government official is a strong word, somebody who's relatively high up in one of the Middle East governments. And he said that basically nobody will say it publicly. They all want Iran sorted because they know if they don't, they're going to come back. Now, as it's turned out, the blockade that the Americans have put on the Straits of Hormuz is strangling Iran's economy. And what Garcia pointed out yesterday is a very technical geography, geological thing, is that the way that Iran takes oil from the ground is there is a great danger if they don't settle and get the production going again very, very soon, there could be severe damage to their processes and infrastructure. So the fact of the Americans putting a ban on oil flowing through the straits could actually have been in its own way the masterstroke And yet also it could cause Trump a massive problem because you had yesterday the German chancellor came out and said that the Americans should not really outspoken. They don't know what they're doing. They didn't have an exit plan. If we'd known in advance, we would have strongly urged them not to do it. They're losing friends around the world, and I say the next 36 hours are going to be massive on this. So let's see what happens next. As ever, the easiest thing is if you're not sure, is just sit on your hands, save your money, and wait for things to happen. Or, as with me with metals and with platinum and things, I have a price that I want the prices to drop to. I went to cash the other week, which I explained with you. I think I'm about 35% in cash now. May trim a bit more today as well because I want the crash. I want to be able to buy in a crash. So this is Merce says that Iran is humiliating US. And this was from yesterday. And say the way that they played it by going off to talk to Russia and then saying, yes, they will talk. After the weekend, I think there was Jared Kushner and Steve Wickoff, I can remember his name, supposedly on a plane on the way to negotiate, and the Iranians cocked off. So they played them, and they're playing them very cleverly by the look of it. So it's going to be a very interesting few days. This is Putin welcoming the Iranian foreign minister. It's all a bit scary. So he's held a meeting with special representative of the president of the Republic. And again, remember, guys, this is all about oil, always has been. You've also got Beijing, because Beijing gets something like 80% of its oil from Iran. And it also accounts for 90% of Iran's oil sales. So the point is they now are having to go out and buy oil elsewhere. They haven't as yet flexed their muscles too much. But as we know, all it needs them to turn around to do is say, OK, we'll put tariffs on, we'll stop exporting critical minerals, rare earth minerals, and it could all get very, very nasty. And this then is an article. I asked for a summary, but it's not good enough, this one, about the history in the Middle East. Trump, he mocked the Saudi Arabian prince. And there was a clip a few years ago at a conference that nobody's supposed to touch this prince. And Trump had walked past him and tapped him on the shoulder, on the wrong shoulder. But he'd said something to the effect that MBS did not think he would have to kiss my ass. Well, what have the Saudis done? Well, the Saudis now have a deal with Pakistan that if somebody invades Pakistan, a nuclear power, will retaliate because now Pakistan and Saudi Arabia are a group together. And this quite probably came around because of this. So this is to do with the Defence Pact. And then this is this thing about wanting them to carry on. They want it to be finished because the danger is if Iran rearms, and probably this time with bigger and better weapons, then this problem will never go away. This is the price of copper, which looks as though it's wanting to drop. Platinum is dropping. And so for me, platinum was at 3,000 almost in January. We're now down below 2. So the levels, I need to start putting the alarms in more. Obviously, the 200 EMA is the first place to be thinking about. A really good level for me would be if we could get all the way back down here or somewhere in between. Same for copper. So if you thought you'd missed out on copper, palladium is another one. And then going back to gold and silver. So you have gold, Ashley pointed out the head and shoulders pattern last week, and the neckline is now breaking with this candlestick. Similarly for silver. Here's my silver gone. Here we go. So obvious levels to be thinking about if you're thinking about buying is anywhere around the 200 EMA. And if I fib this to there, because this fib now is way out of date, so we fib the recent low to the recent high. And again, this is what we're doing all the time. We're trying to build a picture. And let's put a trend line in on here. So the trend line comes in here. So you've got 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch. There would be the space for me to buy more silver at 66 bucks. Any questions? Devon says, Iran has also stopped its steel exports, second biggest exports for them after oil. Israel bombed most of their steel processing plants to starve Iran economically. Well, another thing I'd said, I mean, I did a post a few months ago and said that it was quite possible the Americans didn't even need to invade Iran because the rioting on the streets the back end of last year was down to inflation. And inflation is what created the people going onto the streets for the African Spring. So revolutions, riots, etc. If people can't feed their families and there is an authoritarian regime, then people ultimately will rebel. And they were on the verge of that, I believe, at the time. Any questions? Oh, there was something else I think I was going to show. So for me, with the longer picture at the moment, the dollar index is clearly the one here. We've got gold at the moment is in a flag pattern range. Ideally, we want it to go north. If it goes north from here, that move will be 7,600, which would spookily take it back up to recent highs. However, if it goes the other way, then we could be back down into here, and that is where I would be thinking of adding to gold, and particularly gold miners. Brent, we're not touching, but Brent looked as though it was moving down. There's anecdotal talk of some of the Asian countries are paying over $200 a barrel at the moment, which makes a mockery of this. Dollar Swissy at the minute, it's in here. There's so many for me at the moment are just, they're in the middle of nowhere. One I do like, I was looking again this morning, I do actually have this on my live account as an order, is the Euro Aussie, probably the best setup for M2 that I've seen this week. This would be the breakout that we've had. So we broke up, we rejected, we pulled back. So my short is in somewhere about 61.65.80 with my stop above the 61.8 and the 59.6. And I also have a trend line coming in here. And again, remember, build the picture. So in here, I think, where did we go from? We want as many touches as we can get. I think perhaps I went down here.
The Swissy is also another good one, I think, that you
Oh,
would take,
okay.
isn't it? You
Let me
said
have
it
a look.
has, I think
Yeah,
there's 7 reasons.
I've had this a few times, and it's just I did well with it down here. I need a pullback, but I mean it's like a lot of these things. All the yens are at double tops at the moment, so I can't touch these. Within my rules, this is not for me. Although the dollar yen has broken a bit higher, but a lot will depend on what the Fed says. So if this is to break higher, then it needs a catalyst, either the FOMC statement or something in the Gulf, etc., for this to break through. But if it breaks through, you need it. And for me, I would need this to clearly close through on a weekly, because the chances are this was a shooting star pattern last time we were up here in 2024. The chances are, yes, it might spike through on FOMC and then promptly drop back down again. So for me, I would want a weekly close above here before I start to go long. But the obvious place of interest to start thinking about a long is if we can get a decent pullback. But again, we are stuck in a range. And if you're in a range, then you need to be looking at the extremes. And again, Pierre is the one for trading in the opposite direction. So if you can find your multiple reasons up here, you may well find you have trades in there. So we trade trends. If we have to trade ranges, we do. The range on this one I would prefer, because it's in an upward trend, I would prefer to go long, but there's equally an argument to say to go short. And the only thing with that then would be the stop. So you would be risking 60 odd. I mean, 160 whole numbered, decimal 10 is a big number anyway. But if you go 60, you have a chance to make 160, potentially 200 there. Right, I'm going to go over to Ashley, and then I need to go eat. What was I going to say? No, sorry, I've forgotten. Right here, I thank you for attending as ever. If you have questions, stick them in by the help desk if you're really struggling. But first port of call is go to the forum and chat with the guys. And if you want your business plan update reviewing again, Ashley's just done the one for SIF in here. So he's analysed it. If you're not sure, do it again. If you've never done it before, do it now and set your trading rules up as well. Remember, it's all about probability and it's all about structure, which Ashley's going to cover now.
Thank you, Mark.